pleasure for me to introduce and welcome dear friend Dave Rogers, an international speaker and author from Singapore, to this lovely temple of love, my loving home. I'm so happy that he could make it just before he flies out tonight to Singapore. Welcome, Dave, and welcome home.
And farewell to the body, and also welcome to the world. And it's such an honor. I'm thrilled to be here. I love your temple. It's beautiful. There's so much great energy here. And it's really wonderful that we also have our wonderful friend Mandar, who sort of suggested we do a Facebook Live today. We're talking about just things that we'd like to do in 2018. Drew around a few ideas, talked a little bit about spirituality, talked a little bit about workplace. And I understand you have actually spoken on spirituality in the workplace. What was that about?
That was gone back through a very dear friend, Sagarika. I don't know, Sagarika, if you can be live right now. But she had very graciously invited me in my very early days in spiritual work in 2012 February for the HRD Congress, which is the World Human Resources Development Congress. And I had to speak on the importance of infusing spirituality into workplace. You know, we have this constant separation about professional life, personal life, spiritual life, and fun life, and this life. But for me, I feel that life is not separate. Unless and until there is wholesomeness in my true self, there is no true self. I cannot be different with here and I cannot be different over there. There has to be a string, there has to be a consistency in who I truly am. Yes, there will be protocols. I won't wear pajamas and go for a corporate workplace, but that does not stand in what we are talking. What we are talking is not to have these separations of, oh, you cannot be spiritual in your workplace, and spirituality is all about bookishness, and spirituality is not possible in today's times, and there is so much of happening around the world. And my endeavor is that we have people like Dave Rogers who love exploring, experimenting, and reaching out to people everything that we really think is not possible.
And that's what's really beautiful. I think what's happening right now, that there is definitely a movement that people want to have conversations about hearts. They want to have conversations about love. They want to have conversations about perhaps even the past taboos, yet really is about being able to speak the truth.
Yes.
And perhaps not being jumped upon, being able to actually voice it with perhaps a respect that a conversation can happen. We've actually explored global dialogue.
Yes.
We've been very curious about unity and diversity. And we're part of the United Nations movements to actually encourage grassroots conversations. And I guess that's something that we were just talking about, that you've been exploring emotional intelligence, spiritual intelligence, and different components in the types of corporate workshops that you would like to do. You want to share a little bit more about what you'd like to do in 2018, perhaps called spirituality in the workplace, yet perhaps discussed in different manners to make it more willing or more able to come into corporate so that people can have authentic conversations?
For me, I would, within the essence of spirituality, not kind of segregating or separating it out from our life as a whole, would also call it inner empowerment for the corporate world. And unless I'm internally aligned, whether as an entrepreneur, a business person, an HOD, founder of a company, a director of a company, how am I going to be the best for the company? How am I going to be a great employee when I'm coming with the baggage of my past life, my family, the illnesses, the problems, the money things, and the fights and the divorces, the clashes, the family feuds, all of it. Every single employee is carrying so much of baggage every day to work. And my endeavor is to, collaborate with wonderful friends like Dave so that we can take this kind of, in unison, in a very cohesive, seamless form, that, dude, this is not separate. If you are not at peace in your inner world and constantly being kind of cringing with what is happening there, you may not be able to have the right appraisal, the right growth, the right benefit of being there for your own self and for the company.
And so it's really beautiful because it's about exploring what happens inside and the workplace, given that many people spend more time in the workplace than anywhere else in the world. It really is an opportunity to allow the issues that stress, anger, frustration, perhaps even violence, and we've been seeing in America the sexual harassment issues, that it's now time that we can actually have forums, discussions, people can express how they feel, and the Me Too, the Stand Up For, that women have a certain right to communicate, men have an opportunity to stand side by side, have conversations where in the past maybe it all had to be taboo, maybe it all had to be hush-hush, maybe it all had to be not talked about because we don't talk about those topics here. Yet, guess what? I think we're actually at a time on evolution of this planet that whether it's called consciousness or spirituality or speaking one's truth, these are wonderful times to be able to actually bring that together. And so spiritual intelligence, emotional intelligence, what other types of intelligence have you been looking at?
I have been looking at a whole lot of quotients, and this aspect of the happiness quotient turned out to be extremely important. We all are in pursuit of this happiness, and we think this chasing butterfly that we can never get hold of. But for me, it is kind of standing at the rim of a well and putting that bucket inside the well and then pulling out the water. And sometimes the well is right filled up with water up there. Sometimes it's deep down there, but it does have water at whatever level. So for me, happiness is putting that bucket inside and letting it go till you feel that yes, it is existing within me. And all the portions of our emotional, cellular, mental, physical attributes that can contribute towards this happiness quotient. And to realize that we have it in us, and then to give a peace morsel way of how do we surface it? How do we do it?
Well, one of the great ways that, again, I love the conversation because it gives an opportunity for people to go inside, explore it a little bit. And again, we can even share, again, some of the ways. Some of the ways is to actually be more nurturing, be more loving, be more caring, be more forgiving to oneself. Explore gratitude as part of a daily strategy. And your book is amazing for that. Again, I'm serious. That gives me goosebumps to say it because 365 days, you can open up the book. It will speak to you. It will give you tools, techniques, meditations, real applying spirituality, applying a willingness to be kind to oneself, to breathe into each day. So share a little bit about how that book came about. For our listeners today, they might not have heard about your book, yet maybe share about how that came about and a little bit about that journey that book happened.
The book happened over a period of time actually, and the happening just took place. It was
over how long of a time?
It was actually funny because though the messages started way back in 2011, when I felt guided to put out a daily message and affirmation on my Facebook community pages. But I kept writing. So for 2 years, I was putting up a message and affirmation every single day, come what may, where I was, wherever that I was traveling, it would be up. And it kept telling me about 9 months down the line that someday it will become a book for the world. And there was no publisher shopping or anything of that sort really in kind of mind or guided as such, let me put it. And then it was in 2015 rather that it all kind of propelled and spiraled into manifesting. But when it did, it was October 2015, and I just got this amazing message from the publisher, from their Aditya Aluwalia of Life Positive, that you haven't checked your mail and replied to my editor. I said, oh no, I haven't got any mail. And no, she did reply to you. And then I saw that though I empty my spam every 2-3 days, I hadn't touched the spam for almost 4 weeks. And there lied the mail from lovely Alicia to tell me that all the concepts that I had given, we would go ahead with that. But can you give this first concept, which is called Angels Speak, in about 8 weeks' time? Because we would like to release it for January 2016, since it has 365 days of messages. And I was like, okay. And I did not know where that okay came from, because 8 weeks to put up the whole book was a huge aspect. And then very happily I found a file of all those old messages. And I was like, oh my God, all these messages are there, fantastic, I'll be able to give. And then when I sat with it, meditating in the night, I was like, no, you have to rewrite all the messages for the new energies that are coming up. And these messages will be for posterity, for humanity, to usher into the new phase, the new age, the new dimension of life. And there went all my thoughts, oh my God, will I be able to give it in 8 weeks? And then came the new bit of, no, not just the messages and the chapters, but we had to do 15 channeled illustrations of the archangels. And I was like, okay. And then the story takes place of how I landed up, and divinity brought me my lovely student Soumya, who did the illustrations, and how through distance channeling I was doing when she was up in Lucknow, in north of India. And within 12 days, sorry, we had all the illustrations in place.
Well, if you get a chance to see some of the illustrations, actually visit your Facebook group, connect with that, and allow yourself to actually start getting into the energy of some of the beautiful messages that Shiny offers, and allows, invites, and posts, and so generous in sharing the guidance that you do receive on a daily basis, and it's absolutely wonderful. So I would actually like to introduce this other concept that we've talked about, because you can go into this happiness, which again, definitely a number of us daily work on happiness. Like, it's not something you take the course and you pass it, you get a diploma in happiness. No, folks, it's daily, and it's probably for the rest of your life. So continuing to grow, continuing to let go, to continuing to evolve. Yet the area that I wanted to, it was a bit of a secret, and I wanted to share with you that in 2018, 2019, 2020, it's going to be something you and I are really excited about. It's called diversity intelligence.
Beautiful.
And so that, my dear friend Mandar behind there, diversity, it's like we want to be working, collaborating with people that from a diverse background. Like, look at this, it's so beautiful, who we have with us, the energy, and it just happened. It's flow, it's beautiful, it gives me goosebumps, and that's diversity.
Yes.
It's so boring if we're doing the same thing all the time with the same people, is it not? So diversity, intelligence.
Absolutely.
So when you hear that term, give me one or two thoughts about diversity intelligence for corporates, diversity intelligence for governments, for peace, for humanity.
For what strikes to me from within, first as I hear this and when he speaks about it, is that diversity is about mutual respect. It's about the mutual respect of another's point of view. It is about the mutual respect that my point of view is not the ultimate. It is about the mutual respect that there are varied possibilities that I don't really know of, and that there are varied countries and cities and towns on the atlas that I may never have heard of, but they still do exist. So for someone when it says, oh, I don't believe in karma, I said, great enough, dude, but it does exist. My belief and your belief has got nothing to do with the universe removing from their kind of dictionary or from their palette. Oh no, people don't believe in this, let's remove this, let's not have this. They don't believe in this. No, universe doesn't work like that. So whether we believe it or not, it does exist, and so does diversity. It is the diversity of our strengths. The moment we think of working, we were just talking about this wonderful workshop that I had with 7 of my sparkling angels, and I was speaking to them that have you seen any, literally you see Wayne Dyer and you've seen Louise Hay doing some amazing things, but otherwise besides these very evolved people, everybody who does say they are in spirituality or so-called spiritual work, how many have you seen collaborating as such? Because yet the duality of the ego is there. Oh my God, what if the other speaker is better than me? And that's where we lose out on the diversity of two strengths. We have to move away from competition to collaboration, and that's where diversity is born. That's where the strength is born. And I feel this is amazing.
Actually, this is actually one of the areas, if we go to study a little bit more of epigenetics,
that women are more attuned to nurture and collaborate than men. If you go to the wild and you go into the jungles, you know that the men species tend to go and conquer and devour. And so we're all part masculine and feminine. When we bring in our energies together, and I'll even take that word respect to the next level. It's something that I love exploring. I love it. I could devour it. It's so delicious. And this is the concept of honoring. And when we honor the differences, when we honor, like again, food is a great opportunity. It's to honor the differences, the taste, the flavors, to see the expansiveness of honoring diversity.
Absolutely. Like just back to the workshop of this exact word of honoring. I said there are so many times, like by choice, I have become a vegetarian from a hardcore non-vegetarian Parsi, person. And I have left eating eggs. And everybody was like, Parsi eating eggs, impossible. That's not like kind of fathomable. And I said, yes, but as Grace has it, it has been good enough a journey up till now. And the aspect here of honoring was not of being a vegetarian, but honoring that my fiance or somebody else who is sitting next to me is not a vegetarian. And honoring that this person's journey is still where it is. And it's not good or bad or right or wrong, it's just where it needs to be for that person. And when you are walking and talking your true spiritual essence, then you will start honoring everybody's journey, wherever it may be. Everyone in a class of 100 who comes next to you in a talk or a seminar may not take the exact intensity of what we are giving and offering, but it is honoring that all those who we get will do something about it. And even if they don't do anything about it, it's still their journey. We have given it with all our love.
I love this trip to Mumbai. Again, yesterday we went to the children's shelter in Manavla. We spent time with the kids, the boys, the girls, the helpers. It was just really beautiful. The day before, we were doing the women's leadership and social entrepreneurship. And a number of the exercises I did, I would show a video or I'd show a poem, and I'd ask the area that interested people. And basically, everyone had a different perspective. So here, if I'm the teacher and making everybody roll, oh, no, you're supposed to see this point. You're supposed to see what? And in many ways, that is the old educational model. Today, we're sharing information. We're sharing some tips. You might like something, you might not like something. And actually, we're welcoming those type of feedbacks. Like, add a comment, add something you like, maybe add something you disagree with. We honor your feedback. And that's so beautiful, because if we can have these type of dialogues and this type of strategy, this is where perhaps diversity intelligence takes it to a whole new level, where we can communicate with people that might be speaking different languages or eating different foods or have different beliefs, yet we bring in an awareness and understanding and respect.
Yes, absolutely.
Being fantastic for 2018.
Absolutely. And just to what you said rightfully right now, that, being in this space or on this side of the fence when you have 50 others on the opposite, of telling them or giving them a perspective. It's not giving them a perspective. It's giving them something that you've already had or you've already gone through or you have really been made to experiment with life. And life has now said, now share it with others. But it may not be the same. It may not be the same as you have experienced it, and each one's journey is going to be different. And for all the school and institutional workshops that I have done with, in fact, Maya Ma'am and a couple of others, is that teachers and all of us as speakers or mentors or anyone, I have this one line which I keep drilling in my head all the time, that I can help people to see where to look, but not what to see.
I love it.
And I try to adhere to that all the time. And it is exactly how an everyday life is. I might tell 10 people to look out of the window, but I cannot tell them what to see. Somebody will see the mug in Mumbai, somebody will see the lovely sky, somebody will see the parrot sitting outside on the electrical line. So it's just about each one's unique perspective. And what I want to tap alongside what we have, and I've seen Dave doing that in the wonderful Business Accelerator and other workshops that I've been with him in Malaysia, that it is to honor what is lying within each one and to help each one tap into that unique potential. And that's what has been my journey as well. And I feel that's the reason why Universe kind of conspired that day when I meet. And I love such conspiracies that the universe keeps doing. They did one just these few days where I met this lovely Catholic lady called Anne.
Hello, Anne.
She's not on Facebook, I think that's what she told me. But she was a wonderful lady, and it was just so touching the way she came across. And without knowing anything about what we were doing, there was so much of love, there was so much of honoring, and there was so much of respect. And even though she ended up telling, I have been an atheist all my life, I still love this entire energy that you exude. And what you are, whatever you are doing with all these 7 lovely ladies, I think something is there, and I would love to explore this more. So it is amazing how, this truth gets reaffirmed, which I tell and share with all our students and everyone, with clients, that our energy walks before us. You can say, hi, sweetie, how are you? And say, what she did this to me. But the energy walks before me, and that cannot hide. You can be sweet, you can be this, and you can be that. But your true self is that energy. And that energy will always speak louder than the words that you have to tell anyone. So being a true self, being collaborative, thinking of how somebody else's strength can help, thinking how diversity in our intelligence can be collaborated with, I think is what is required for the next phase of our lives.
So let's ask Mandar if he's got a question, or how are we doing for timing, Mandar?
We're at 21.
And, do you have a question, or is there any questions?
Is there anyone out there posting a question?
Yeah, as of yet, people, Dolly you.
Yes, hi Dolly.
Hi Dolly.
Zubeen is appreciating the talk. Liam.
Anyone has a question, please share and we could
explore. Or even
explore.
Mandar, you could ask it too.
Yeah, Mandar, you could ask for
you.
Sure. Actually, for me, this talk in itself has been quite enlightening because it's really a great evening that I'm actually learning a lot from you both. And since it's Dave is here and you're also here, I wanted to ask a question like about being, like when you are at work and the spirituality or your emotional self is not really in control, or rather you would rather want that emotional self of yours to be away from work because that's what you really want to be in action, not get emotional at work. So what do you think should be the right way, or what is it that one should be, and what's the right state to be at work?
Go ahead, give your 3 tips.
Okay. I feel I would change the word from emotional to be conscious. I would rather be conscious of what I'm doing. There are biggest of the companies that have come down due to value chain abuse. And if there was no conscience, that, is when it takes place. So if I bring in conscience and conscious awareness of my conscience, then I can do a lot more better as an employee or as an employer. There are companies that I have worked with in 23 years of my life in films and media, and known other agencies and corporate companies when I was doing film marketing. And I used to see that HODs can't see eye to eye with each other. The marketing head and the distribution and the sales head in a corporate company or an FMCG just don't like each other. And that's where it is. If there is no cohesive conscience bonding of that consciousness, which is working for that one vision of the company or that one vision of everybody's life underneath, as a downline, then there is a collapse. Then there is a downfall. And that downfall cannot be resurrected with any number of millions of dollars that you put in.
I love that answer, and I love those words that she's using because it invites you to explore conscience and consciousness. My approach would be a little different. I love the word resourceful and resourcefulness. So work gives you an opportunity to be unresourceful or resourceful. Work can allow you to feel bullied or to feel confident. Work gives you an opportunity to play or to be brutalized and beaten down. So it gives you a playground. And so I would invite you, if you're feeling work is not so much fun,
bring in your resourcefulness to find what can be fun, what skills you can learn, what new relationships can be developed, what old relationships can actually explore and give you some teaching, some learning, some spiritual growth, because everyone can be your spiritual teacher. So this is the thing about not making spirituality woo-woo out there. No, it's about how you show up. It's how you breathe. It's whether you're resourceful or unresourceful. So it's actually quite a playful, wonderful rhythm to it.
Absolutely.
And I love the word conscious and consciousness, because that also weaves in for you if those words really resonate with you.
Absolutely. And this completely combines the two, actually, because if I'm conscious about my consciousness, then I am the best resourceful person in the world.
And so
Yeah,
that's the dance that I'm thrilled to be able to sort of bring our session to a bit of a close there, because that's a really great question, and I think it's a really good time to sort of maybe let people know again how to reach out to you, and maybe, again, if I had a wish for Shani, would probably be, is anyone out there with Hay House? Give her a call. She's got some really, really great ideas. I hope your Indian publisher won't mind me saying that. Yet, that's one of the things that's really beautiful, is that I do believe your book's got such beautiful global attractiveness, and so anyone from Hay House, please give her a ring. That would be one of my little wishes for you. And then, and from America's perspective, Oprah. Yeah, there might be an opportunity, because this is an Indian. I love the words you put on your book. Your motto about being an Indian mystic or an Indian.
About being an Indian spiritual mentor?
Yes. So that's, again, something that I think is really cool, because so many of the ones in Hay House and also from America tend to be American. So this is an interesting little export that could come from India to America.
That actually came up yesterday when this lovely lady had talked about, and while she was talking to me, and I said, I just pray for you that whatever that you are doing, I just have a feeling is going to snowball to become so huge, that you become the spiritual Oprah from India to the world.
There you go.
And it was like, oh, okay, all right.
So that's a lovely a wish. Let's throw it out as a wish. Any other? Would you have one last question? Is that what you're going to wave to me there, Amanda?
Yeah. So Zubeen asks, how can you have diversity, especially when your colleagues want to compete instead of collaborating?
Okay. I think it is first boiling down to everything, as I keep saying, it is the self, and the self. And the rhythm of life begins from the self and ends at the self. So first it would be of what I can do to kind of cut the legs of any intimidation that I may be giving. So I may be a very superlatively best employee and doing really, really well, and my colleagues get intimidated with this fact, and therefore they are fearful of collaborating because they know I can take a piece of cake. So I think maybe to just tone down and tell, hey, I may be good at my work, but I don't want to take your place. And I want to grow higher and higher, and I want to see you grow higher and higher as well. And if there is anything that I can learn from you, and that I can kind of collaborate, put in seamlessly from your resourcefulness, as Dave says, then I think we can do something really, really good for the company that we both work for. And maybe, be the best dude that we could kind of come up as.
That is phenomenal feedback. I just love the way that you said that. It triggered in me that, again, if you're feeling that the whole environment is super competitive, it might be a reflection of you. And it's my approach that I say, the mirror. And so whatever you lash out at, explore it inside you, how you might be intimidating people, how you might be the competitive one. And what's beautiful about the phraseology that you've used is it allows one to perhaps go into that humility, continue to work on your skills to be the best you can be, yet you might go and again, ask other people for their opinions. Bring in the humility of honor teachers that they can teach you something.
Yes.
And when that happens, it's such a different, it gives me goosebumps. It's like honoring the person who's taking out the garbage in the room or is cleaning the chalkboard. Because they can teach you. And I learned this when I was in Hong Kong, in a bank, and having the big master of the universe ego, and getting into fights with my boss, who was, again, a real bully and macho guy, but I could be tough with him. Yet he said, what do you respect those people for? You can't learn anything from them. And I kind of looked and I said, I could learn Cantonese from them. And it was my reality is that I know that I can learn from everybody. And I think that might be the little answer, that go look for ways to learn from others and honor their wisdom, even if they're 10 years younger or 20 years younger, and your life might be so much more.
Absolutely. And that reminds me of two beautiful episodes in my life, one way back when I was with films and media, that I would be this very mad, friendly, director, producer on the set, who has the equal good equation with the spot boys and the chai walas and everybody out there. And there are times where I have asked my spot boy, is that tape okay? Do you think it is okay? And he said, no madam, that is an expression. And I said, okay. So I said, okay, let's do one more, And that it is because he is the mass, he is my audience, he is there out, And there is so much to learn from everybody who contributes. I learned from my little Chotu and Vishal and Ram so many times, and I had fights with them at times. And those fights are just loving, learning fights. And there is so much of exchange that takes place. And the second episode that reminds me, I went for a Rotary talk. And wonderfully enough, these were people from 50 and 60 upwards to about 80. And my thing was like, and everybody says, oh, you're so young and stuff. I said, yes, because I'm not here to teach anything. I'm not even half your age with most of you. And it is just about sharing. And if even 0.1% of what I share is helpful to even one person out here, it's good enough a trip for this lovely, wonderful afternoon. Spent with stalwarts who were businessmen, who had lived wonderful lives, having, children who were doctors and engineers and businessmen. So it was a great exposure and learning for me from their energy. And I always believe there's always a give and take. And when a teacher is teaching, it is the teacher that takes the most. Because you have to be up to date of what is going on if you have to express that teaching, so to speak, or share it with 100 others.
So perhaps in future shows that we might deliver may go into some of the wonderful teaching techniques and also the learning techniques that we both use, and we explore, that we're continuing to grow, because that's one of the things I absolutely love about my life is, learning and growing that I'm actually focused on for 2018. So any last comments or feedback that you'd like to send our audience? I think we should bring it to a little wrap.
Yes, and I think before we wrap, it's all about if we could see and dig in when anything is exploding in our lives, when anything is happening in our lives, rather than collapsing and thinking, why the hell is this person doing it, or why the hell this happened, just to go within and truly go within. Why did I manifest this? What is it for me to learn? Why did I bring this behavior out of this person? And what within me is triggered out of this behavior from this person? And if we truly do that, as Dave is an advocate of asking the right questions, I keep doing that for my inner work as well, that if we ask right questions within, we will see the manifestation and the reflections, as he says, of the right answers outside of us.
Beautiful. Amanda, any last questions or thoughts before we bring our session to a wrap?
Yes, actually, Angsu says it was a wonderful talk, and also Meher.
Thank you, love you. Tons of love and blessings to you. You are a true inspiration,
Yes,
and I truly say that. And keeping you in prayers daily, I do get that good flesh. And I talked about you in my workshop as well, Angsu, about how inspirational you are.
Yes,
thank you for your love.
Yes.
We have one last question from Meher. She says that as you mentioned, being a resourceful employee at work, my question is, I often feel carried away with friends and colleagues and enjoyment. How can one stay focused on his or ultimate goal while being, without being carried away?
I think the entire universe works with something called balance. That's why the central axis in our body has the right side and the left side, and they both are the same in most of us at least. And it is the balance which is, and so many people say, oh, do spiritual people wear clothes like this? Or do spiritual people do this and have this fun? I said, why not? That's exactly what it is, to kind of remove the separations. So remove the separations that no, enjoy when you have to enjoy and focus when you have to focus. And even focus does not just mean focus on the enjoyment, focus the time with the cousins and the children and the playfulness that you are with, and focus on yourself. So when you have to shut down, and little bit of things that could help is shutting down from phones at times. I put up statuses, no talking, no messages for next 3 days, or will not give responses. It just helps in kind of calibrating ourselves a little bit of going that extra mile. We all are in this, I feel, comfort zone, and it is pushing the envelope of that comfort zone that will help us come into balance.
And a flip on that is many people are stuck in comfort zones, and then other people have created frantic zones as their comfort zones.
Absolutely.
And so they've got this frantic behavior. So the invitation there is, if you find yourself in frantic or too excited or too noisy or too distracted, go inside and maybe do some breath work. And it's just beautiful that throughout the day you could go and do some nice 2-minute breathing exercise. You can do some stretching exercises. You can really allow yourself to slow down the franticness and go deep into the happiness and joy and gratitude, which allows you to just have a whole new gear shift to shift throughout the day. And that can be done with such elegance and ease as opposed to so much frantic and electric type of energy.
And I completely agree with that. The thing is that, like I keep sharing this with our students and clients who come, that what you are getting, whether it's a prayer, whether it's breath work, whether it's a breathing technique, or whatever that I'm sharing through our monthly meditations and so on, do not keep it up in the loft. Do not think it is a Halley's Comet that has to land once in a month to your life. Take it and live it in your everyday life. Infuse it in your everyday life. You're traveling in the car, in the bus, in the taxi. Just sit, close your eyes, and I've shared these videos of, do some affirmations and just breathe and just feel till you reach your destination. To what can bring you that relaxation or what can bring you that joy.
And I'll take that advice tonight because I'm going on an airplane at 1 in the morning, and I'll be doing my meditations for about 4.5 to 5 hours, and it's just incredible how quickly the flight will go. Now, whether I'll go in and out of sleep, in and out of altered states of consciousness, in and out of prayer, and it's just such a wow. And I'll arrive tomorrow morning and I'll feel refreshed. And it's just so beautiful when that is infused into the way of daily life. I love that quote. I'm going to encourage that. Might be just something that some of you might write down. Infuse it into your daily life.
And that's what it is. And when that becomes just like brushing and bathing and doing everything for our vanity, if we do that for the immunity within us, just the way we do for the immunity outside of us, then we will see a better version of ourselves each day. And as we were just sharing before this live, that there is no best version, because every day the bestest changes. And every time it's like climbing this mountain when I went hiking and trekking in my school and college days, that, we are climbing, and that mountain is still there. Okay, I'm climbing. So it just goes on. And the bestest version keeps stretching and stretching till the last breath, and we say bye-bye to the world.
And on that note, I think, hasta la vista. Thank you very much.
So let's use the diversity of all the languages. Something in Cantonese.
Oh, Cantonese, how about Nihongo? はい、ありがとうございました。大変申し訳ないです。すみません。本当にどうも。
Let me just do that in action.
So thank you so very much.
Thank you so very much, and thank you all for sparing time and joining in. And just before we let go, time is the most crucial aspect of life. If you can give time to someone, you have given the world. So thank you for your time for joining us.
Love and light.
Love and light, and blessings in Super God's speed.